Hello and welcome back, friends. We've had a nice break here between Game 1 and Game 2. We've seen Marquette manage to take a quite convincing 2-0 over Providence, but now we get to change the pace, and we're going to see Georgetown University versus Butler University. I am Rich Rant here with Superman, and we are excited to get this underway because we had some unique turn of events from last week where Georgetown did take a game away. They did not win in the best of three, but they still managed to take a game away from a number one team that we like to talk about. And Butler's in that upper echelon. So I'm curious what kind of competition we have today between these two.
Yeah, Butler is cracked in the
Yes.
Big East. They are near the top of the standings, and we continue to see them perform fantastically here on stream as well. Georgetown struggling to stay alive. They're definitely one of those teams that is gunning to try and scrape through the playoffs. Remains to be seen if they can, in fact, do so. And they're going to have an uphill battle today against Butler, gotta say. And this is heavily Butler favored. And I would expect it to be a 2-0 in favor of Butler, but you called the shot, right? Georgetown is able to take a game off of the best, undisputed, the best team in the Big East. And yeah, they didn't take the series, but taking a game is nothing to scoff at. That's huge. Butler has struggled to do that, right? So we'll see what happens today. It could go either way. You never know what can happen, but I do expect Butler to come out ahead.
And one of the things, to really kind of, emphasize, at least for, the underdog here between the two, Georgetown, with a lot of their, their history that we've looked at. I commented on it last week, and I'm curious to see how they've evolved going into this weekend, where their vision control was really, really lacking. They found themselves getting caught out on so many occasions, and it was just honestly just a lot of basically having to play reactive than proactive. And I want to see a little bit more proactivity from them over these course of the couple of weeks, going against Butler again. Big name, big team, known amongst this Big East as a very dominant force, and hoping that they can, elevate consistently, because they have been really stepping it up. They've been going in a more positive direction, Georgetown, where they can compete against a team like this, but there's still a lot of leaps and bounds that they had ahead of them to make sure that they can really compete on the same level.
Upward trajectory. We hope to see that continue. Give competition here to Butler. Make sure that they all earn their slots in the playoff contention coming up in the next few weeks. I think it's a tough one today. Strength of schedule not in their favor. But I always love to root for an underdog. You like to see them come back. The last series we saw today was also an uphill battle. And we still had some good League of Legends shown. We're just moments away from the draft. And speaking of the draft between these two teams, Butler known for having one of the best support players in the league. And in seasons past, it's been their bot lane that has taken them to the finals, even in the Big East Conference.
Yeah, I mean, the combination between Mojo and Carthago, I've had a couple of occasions on broadcast to cast Carthago's play with this ADC role, and the amount of agency that's given and the space that's gained from the support play for Mojo is so substantial. I mean, their, ability to also have Yumi come through as often as it has been significantly a benefit to them, because they can play it so well. But even then, when the Yumi is removed, their consistency in Nami is also very substantial. Joining it and synergizing with this Lucian play that has been picked 5 times consistently by Carthago, at least in these last multiple games that we've seen, where they're allowing this to go through. And when it's synergized with the Nami, as we just saw in the game prior, it can be absolutely explosive.
Oh yeah, explosive and murderous at that level too that we saw in the last game here on stream. We'll see if the Lucian does come through once again. Doesn't seem to be banned away just yet. Georgetown has 2 more to throw the way of Butler, but on blue side, they can first pick. The Nami getting banned out, I actually think they may let the Lucian through. It's not as augmented so strongly. Sona or Yumi also great for buffing up the Lucian, but a little bit more punishable than the Nami with her great counter engage kit. Last ban going to come through here from Georgetown. It's the Leona taken away from Mojo Romo.
A little bit more of that hard engage, completely taking that off the table. And I mean, again, that's something that we've seen Georgetown look to go a little bit more favored to, at least from what we've seen from their support line. They like to have a little bit more of the hard engage. They also do have a combination of selection when it comes to like their Lulu as a pickup as well for the support line. But we're actually going to get Vladimir coming out first from Butler with a nice quick return response with a Mordekaiser.
Yeah, flexible between both solo lanes. So with the Mordekaiser being the answer, they can decide what kind of matchup they want to give to their solo lanes. The Hecarim, super nice to be picked up there by RLD Dance. And that means Voltage will snag up the bottom lane for Carthago and Mortoromo. That's huge. I like the Xayah pickup. We've seen this showing further and further back up in priority with the lethality Airy build. You get a lot of that poke damage to come through. You're almost like an artillery mage. And of course, you have your own self peel with not only ultimate, but you can do the feather call to bring a root through for either of these melees that may be trying to run you down.
Well, and you're going to have also, when you look at the reverse side, when it comes to the Sivir, there's a lot of that wave clear. It has a really, really great shove. It also can manage its mana very, very well by mitigating a lot of the incoming abilities to try and negate those types of engagements. And I mean, again, Xayah's also just been growing in relevancy ever since Gale Force has been, added into the mix, just because typically you've had to opt to use the flash more aggressively to try and reposition for your feathers, but the Gale Force kind of nullifies that use of the flash, so you get that for more of a defensive use, whereas the Gale Force would be more offensive in that sense. And as we take a look at the last couple of bans that are coming through, both the Kiana and the Graves here for Georgetown, as we've got a Lilia and waiting for that final pickup, so a little bit more of that top jungle preference. Kane also another one to eliminate, very dominant in what we've seen before. A couple of pickups as well from Georgetown. They've had success with it prior, so it's not surprising that Butler would want to potentially get rid of that. But we're going to have a hard engage coming out again here with this pickup of the Rakan for Georgetown.
Curious to see that coming through. And there's going to be the final members picked up for Butler. They have quite the team fight composition, with decent pick potential on there, the Jarvan and the Nautilus. I like the Sivir pickup though, as the Lucian we'll talk about in a moment, picked up there to also give some solo lane power. I like the Sivir with their composition. You want to speed, augment the speed already from the Hecarim and the Rakan. And if that's, I think it's unlikely to be Sivir mid. I do expect them to be swapped. Yeah, they do, right there.
The swap.
I was going to eat my own words if it didn't happen, because I wanted to speak about how Sivir is actually a decent matchup into the Xayah. Spell Shield is super strong against champions that have like a single source of burst damage. Like Tristana, it's her bomb right on your head. You can Spell Shield that pretty easily. And as long as you got your wits about you, you should be able to Spell Shield the Feather Call back. That root is a lot of damage as well. So you have that going for you in the matchup, and Sivir passive matches the movement speed buff on hit, similar to the Xayah on her W. So you can do the auto spacing well and augment the fact that you otherwise are missing a little bit of that range, but the movement speed makes up for it, and you don't get punished too hard in this lane. And you mentioned as well, Rich, that you can kind of go tit for tat with the wave clear. That's important in the Xayah lane, because you don't want to free her up to also roam. You'd be surprised how well a Xayah can roam, and how important it can be to actually unlock that champion to exist in somewhere other than bottom lane.
And when we talk to about just the bot lane even further, Mojo, we've emphasized so much with their ability to play in this support role that I would not be surprised to see just as much of a dominant roam. And if you can leave both of these individuals shoving the wave, roaming to mid, finding that opportunity in synergy together, whether it's a nice dredge line that comes through, or it's the feather call, or anything of the sort in this mid lane where you could potentially have the Lucian, which still does have some mobility with the dash, able to evade, so they don't have, complete lack of mobility if there is this type of rotation, but still has to be very cognizant of how much value it can bring. And the other thing too to also focus on is that we've not seen as much J4. It's kind of fallen off a little bit ever since some of the itemization adjustment and what kind of value you can bring. But again, it's very, very team oriented combination. You've got the Cataclysm to try and lock down, but this team has such mobility. It's going to be a real challenge. And honestly, you've got to look to either lock down Fish Bro after the dash, or potentially Sivir, who's unable to really maneuver outside of the wall. I mean, you're really going to have to look for that, because you can have, either the Mordekaiser taking the Death Realm, you've got the Hecarim who's able to dash over if you need for the Onslaught of Shadows, you have the Rakan who can dash away to an ally. There's so much that can happen to evade that Cataclysm that really those two are going to be the primary focuses.
Yeah, Georgetown's composition is extremely short range. Yes, they have 2.5 ranged champions, given a little bit of half there to the Rakan. Very short, but ranged. 80 carries. Lucian, Sivir, they're the shortest range, and they are augmented by the fact that Lucian has that dash that can be on a relatively low cooldown because it has that cooldown reduction built into his kit. And Sivir, like I mentioned, she's got that little extra move speed, and of course her ultimate. That normally can be punished by additional range because they're relatively mobile. But the point you just hit on is Butler kind of has to play right into that. They are very close range as well. They want to go in with Cataclysm. They want the Nautilus to be in close. Akali's very close range, and Xayah can kind of dip, dive, dodge around these fights just fine, which is great for Butler's side. But I think it all depends on actually locking down multiple members into a Cataclysm followed up with the Hemoplague. If you don't actually get that combo to come through, I think you'd have trouble beating Georgetown's damage. They can really put out the pain because they're so short range. You have to walk right into them and kind of play to their strengths. The recon pick doesn't necessarily have to be the engage here.
It doesn't have to be, but I think it's something too that's going to play really, really well to the Sivir. Just again, that synergy between the two and that additional movement speed, looking for an opportunity for, you know, the grand entrance or potentially the quickening. So you've got it's so high mobility, and if you can reposition into a fight that's going to be more favoring for you, it's a real chance to actually put Butler into a uncomfortable position and always have to kind of feel like that they're playing to understand where the reposition is going to be because of that high mobility, and then also kind of playing a little bit more towards, you know, those narrow points of where they can enter through maybe a segment of the jungle. Can they rotate around? Can they find a flank? What can they get in the back line? There's a variety of different things, but we are going to be heading on to this Summoner's Rift. We've got Butler on the bot side with Georgetown on the top, as they both had to get this game underway, and there is no other way to play Sivir without a pizza in hand.
True. I love that pizza delivery skin. You can always change the toppings on the pizza to be what you like. This is a game for Butler's seeding in playoffs. That's what I'm watching this game for mostly, is to see what they look like coming into what will soon be a postseason. Butler, they've basically confirmed that they will be going into playoffs, and this is to see, are they third, fourth seed? Like, where do they actually fall in the standings once we get into that postseason? And against a team like Georgetown, you would expect that they'll be very, very strong. Their draft here, as we described, is quite aggressive, right? They've got a Kali in the mid lane, no Flash, Ignite instead. And they got the first pick, Vladimir, that they were willing to... of course, it's flexible to pick blind, right? They wanted that so quick. So we're going to be watching this new top laner for Butler, see what their performance looks like to augment their roster going into that postseason.
And as we do see, the focus going to be towards blue and bot side red buff for Butler to try and give that extra damage necessary to rotate up to the top to give some assistance. I would not be surprised that they do have that initial focus after getting scuttled to rotate up to try and harass that Mordekaiser from Butler again, trying to give more agency again to the Vladimir, because Vladimir can, you know, scale fairly decent across the board to try and use as... I mean, at this point, I mean, you commented about how it's going to be mainly the emphasis on the seeding and the value that's going to be brought into this. I've still got a lot of focus on this bot lane again to try and see what kind of value this Sivir is going to bring to really compete against Carthago on this Xayah, which we haven't typically seen as much of versus the Lucian.
Yeah, and bottom lane, of course, this is the Big East, so it's going to be quite volatile. You can see the level 2s will probably be there first for Georgetown, which will give Carthago and Motoromo, they got to back off. Okay.
Nice hook, though, to try and mitigate that engagement as they do work their way through that level 2. And honestly, just great cleanup here. Getting it under the tower, has the CS advantage, trying to harass Carthago as much as possible to prevent that full clear. But again, Carthago playing as stellar as we've seen before, making sure that they get almost every minion there to recover so they can push it back towards the middle position. And I mean, taking a pulse again, Hecarim being a little bit ahead here on this jungle clear so that they could potentially get that early advance gank.
Yep, watching those junglers closely. I'm surprised Volte didn't go for some sort of level 2 cheese. It's pretty common when you get the red leash on bottom side. But Levi Takes a little bit of pain in mid. There's the pings from the junglers. They're going to fight over this top scuttle, and you can see both teams have one of those solo lanes in priority. We'll see who gets there first.
And there's some aggression coming up top with a hack room from Riddance, but again, there's a ward already in the bush, so it's going to be easily sought out. A nice rotation back. Got now Voltaid acknowledging that there is two up top. Actually wavered away from the Gromp to make sure that they are there to assist if the engagement did come through. But still, look at this poke coming out from the Vladimir play, and easily just going to keep him under tower for now.
Yeah, a really great play from Kazik on the Vladimir up there. He soaks up that aggression that gives the actual breathing room for Voltaid to be the one to pick up that scuttle. That's double scuttle for Butler. That's huge for them early on. Yeah, it doesn't mean they get first blood or anything crazy. Won't get too far ahead of ourselves, but that's a huge difference in the jungle in terms of experience. They're trying to get those level 6s sooner rather than later.
And even just the intel, if there's any, I mean, granted, you know that Hackroom's up top right now. They do have acknowledgement that Riddance was there looking for a potential gank. So they've got some time, but it still just for sure allows if there is a pathing down below, or if they look to back to get the itemization to then give assistance. So they've got just every piece of information available to them. And again, securing, like you mentioned, that overall level advantage as it continues to scale.
Speaking of level advantage, you can see Ryuk and PIV down here on the bottom. They keep this wave shoving in. That means they'll be first to hit level 6 and first to rotate for a dragon. First one spawns in 30 seconds. Don't expect them to try and prioritize this too early. It's really hard to go for an Ocean Drake early. The Ocean Drake is such a boon if you can secure it, just because it gives that passive sustain in lane. It would definitely help someone out like Levi, who's just taking a beating under his turret. But it also does so much damage as you try and take it. Hard to solo, even harder to commit multiple members early on in this laning phase. We'll see if either team actually decides to put resources behind it, as Levi is in trouble.
Ooh, he's going to be able to skirt out of there. That Ignite's not going to be enough damage, especially if you've got that rolling pot. I believe the last one that they had. As you're going to be able to skirt out, manage to survive. It would have been a huge pickup, though, for the advantage when you've already got a good 12 CS advantage. And there's even this rotation back up after getting a deep ward in towards that blue positioning to see if there's an engagement. As you've actually got Georgetown, allow this Drake to go to Butler at this point because they really don't have the pressure.
Yeah, this is cheeky, actually, from Butler. Great call for them to go for this at this exact moment. It's really the only window of opportunity they did. I was just about to talk about the fact that, yeah, Fishbro didn't actually get the kill on Levi, but forcing him to recall and then teleport back gives so much more breathing room on the map if you're on the side of Georgetown. You can go for those neutral objectives, but this was the only opportunity as Fishbro recalls himself, and they know that the Hecarim wasn't nearby. They can use that priority in bottom lane to pick up the early Drake, and huge for them. And now Levi will actually feel a lot better in this matchup. As mentioned, he can really use that Ocean Drake to heal back up in between Fishbro's trades. And without the Ignite now from Fishbro, I don't think there's kill threat on Levi, so Levi should be able to scale to that level 6. Yeah, he just got it. Now he'll be able to roam at will once he, is able to wave clear.
You can even see some pings coming out here towards that bottom position to try and assist. The Scuttle is back up and ready since it was taken quite early by bot lane, even though the Jarvan was up top, as we mentioned earlier. So they do want to get some vision to try and keep knowledge so that there is prevention in the ganks in the bot position. As really you've got Ryuk being the only one to sustain, just because they do have that long-range ability to take down the CS. You have the chance for PIV to kind of roam, get some vision, acknowledge where there's a potential gank, but still, everybody playing very close to their tower for Butler.
Yep. And that means there's a lot of options for this Jarvan to make some roams. The struggle is he keeps finding himself spotted out by Fishbro, who has that continuous, permanent priority in mid lane, shoving Levi into tower. You would think that with everybody pushing so far deep into Butler's territory, there'd be so many more gank paths or opportunities for Voltaid, but he keeps getting spotted out by wards or Fishbro just stepping into the river for a moment. That means it's hard to actually catch enemy members by surprise. Georgetown looking sweet in this early game.
Yeah, and again, this is something that we've really been noticing more from them, is they have a lot more methodical play. They're not being too overzealous. They're really reserved in knowing when to go for these engagements or types of exchanges. And again, the gold is basically neck and neck as we're almost reaching that 10-minute mark into this game where there's not been really too much of escalation for engagement. But now, as you can see, a little bit of a rotation now up towards River. You do have the Nautilus play from Mojo being a little bit aggressive to try and get some vision. Over the wall, though, has to use that to try and escape. Down below, Regis forces the flash. Beautiful play to evade. But again, Summoner down for Mojo.
Yeah, he's got the Hex Flash, though, so all things considered, Butler playing it close to the chest. They didn't actually commit too much to play defensive. They called Reticent's bluff right there. And it was the play to just dash in, had ultimate onslaught of shadows available, didn't actually commit it, and they held their own spells to stay safe. And that's good things from Butler. I want to see more from Georgetown. This kind of aggression needs to actually come through and make a commit. I don't think they actually would have secured a kill onto Carthago or Mojo Romo. The flash was necessary, and ultimate was still available from the Zaya, so not a lot of kill through there. But I want to see that aggression continue.
And still consistent poke coming in from Fishbro in the mid lane, able to really keep Levi at a disadvantage for now. There is still the ability to catch up, at least for some of the CS. And now we look, though, to top position. You do have Lord. You need to be very careful as there's a follow-up from Void Aid up to the middle position, but actually just going to get that scuttle instead.
Yeah, but look at that. And once again, it's Georgetown's solo laners getting that priority, stepping into the river, looking out, and trying to find Voltoid. And if you find Voltoid, he can't gank, but look at this pathing from him. Fishbro's in trouble.
Now going to be able to try and collapse, but there is a TP from top lane, and you can see that there is easy response from Voltaid saying, I'm not going to engage this. It's not worth the risk, because they honestly, I think, are acknowledging that Georgetown is playing this a lot more effectively than I think that maybe Butler would have anticipated.
Yeah, for sure. So the gank to top lane might work out for them.
Yep, Riddance is going to get the nice early engagement, gets the stun. You do have this evasion coming out. Nice flash with the Onslaught of Shadows, gets a nice stun and crowd control for the Fear, and actually going to have to back off a little bit, gets low. Can't seem to get the obliterating strike, so you actually will see a nice maintenance underneath this turret. Very aggressive, gets the heal, almost takes him down, and there is going to be an even trade. The first blood does still go in favor of Georgetown, but you don't have top lane and leaving empty-handed from Butler.
Yeah, but remember, Georgetown, they used the teleport from Georgie to mitigate the gank that was coming through mid. This Hecarim has made so much happen in just a short period of time. He shoves that wave in. That's going to force out the teleport from Butler's top laner, and that means Kaizek won't have that available to look for a play elsewhere on the map. Maybe they don't need it, though. As you can see, Butler has put so much extra onto this bottom lane turret. They get a plate for themselves and set up for this Drake that's about to spawn.
Yeah, Kaizek is going to be able to hold on to that TP again to use elsewhere, especially with the Drake coming up in just 10 seconds if a fight breaks out. So he'll be able to clear that top position. They should be reaching at the same pace, though, as the Mordekaiser from Georgie. And you can already see some wards being placed towards that Drake, again, acknowledging, and actually going to start it the second it comes online.
A little aggressive for my taste, as they do have vision in place, but they should expect the Hecarim to be there, and they have priority pushing in bottom. Yeah, they're going to peel off the dragon and look for a fight in that river.
Pings coming through. You do have a slight rotation from the mid lane. Riddance is not going to get the stun onto Mojo, but Mojo manages to get the land as the Cataclysm comes through from over top. Fishbro has to flash out with the dashes. Now you're going to get the calling, but it's not going to be enough damage. Butler will look to try and take this quickly into their favor, but the rotation from the bot lane is going to be far superior for Georgetown unless they actually do have to swap it. Riddance goes down. Exchanges back and forth onto the turret. Nice knock-up. Beautiful evasion, though, by Carthago to prevent the grand entrance. Gets the takedown onto PIV, and with Mojo rotating all the way around the outer architecture, Carthago pops the heal. The auto-stun comes in. A return heal from Ryok, and they do not get the second pick.
Yeah, very close fight. You can see Gold is dead even as well. Now top laners say, oh, team fights are done. It's time for us to slap each other with pool noodles up here in the top lane as well. Nothing going to work out for either of them in that 1v1, but Mojo Romo doesn't look like he has the mana to actually look for that.
Yeah. Now, that was a little overzealous. I'll be just like, all right, you're just going to try and do it to threaten, keep some space onto the CS, make sure that you get the tank minion, and then just going to roam back to your respectable places. As Riddance, though, has some vision on it and is going to look to potentially go in to try and steal this Drake away.
Yeah, sometimes about sending a message, and the message here might be, hey, here's that racehorse.
I mean, Voltaid is very low. There's the grand entrance. Is going to miss, though. PIV, you've got the steal. That's going to be Georgetown managing to get this Drake. And again, objective focus is what I really wanted to talk about. And warding. They've managed to elevate at least their objectives, and they're keeping great vision in this bottom position and being very aware of taking these opportunities to exploit away from Butler.
Yeah, real cheeky to steal away that Drake. It's nice. thanks for the leash. That's what you say if you're the jungler there. Ridden's able to pick that up, and now it's a Drake apiece and very similar turret damage. You can see the mid lane has been punished there by Fishbro, but it's been Butler using additional pressure from Voltage on the bottom side of the map to get a couple plates for themselves. And that means, again, the gold is dead even as they're going to start up the Herald. This, I think, will make the game break open for Butler if they can secure this and properly allocate it. I expect them to actually use it in the bottom side just to finish off that turret if they can get one more plate first.
Well, and you can even see that they're committing 3 players to this. A majority of that is you're going to have now Kaizek move to the top position because they want to ensure that this isn't going to be stolen away. But Riddance is here. They don't manage to land the hook. He's going to come in for the stun onto Volte. They're going to find themselves in a mirror positioning from the opposing side as the Cataclysm comes out to try and lock them down. Fishbro from the mid rotates up, does get a lot of damage, but in exchange does go down because Levi is there to push the rest of this engagement in favor of Butler. But you've got Georgetown coming in once again and actually picking this up. Butler completely on the back foot right now.
Leashing it again! A neutral objective stolen away by Georgetown. Riddance has just got their number. Look, they started too early, took a lot of damage from doing the Herald itself. And yeah, Cataclysm, nah, we're not trapped in here. You trapped in here with us, and Riddance able to pick that up, and with the additional help. You talked about how Butler brought multiple members up for this fight. Well, Georgetown answered, and they're able to be rewarded with, again, another neutral objective leashed for them. We'll see where they decide to commit that Herald, as we just saw plates expire, so they don't get too much for their troubles other than just denying it from Butler. I'd love to see them breaking open mid lane, as Fishbro's been able to have so much priority from that mid lane, but you can't do much in that short lane. Leaving it for too long means you give up too much breathing room to someone like Levi to roam as well.
And you really have to give respect to this Georgetown team. Well, as much as I say respect, that was not. When you're in a bush and there's a Nautilus there. So I digress, at least for that brief moment. But overall, they've been playing this very, very well.
Yeah, they have, yeah. A little disrespectful there to be the Sivir, and maybe a little misunderstanding of the matchup. The thing about Nautilus Hook, unlike many of these other Hook champions, is even if you spell shield it, he gets still pulled slightly towards you, and if you don't immediately run away and create some serious space between you, he's got that long auto attack range too as a melee champion, and if he lands that, you're rooted anyway. So what's the difference spell shielding the Hook in the first place? It's very hard to play against that if you're caught out at all, and you see that resulted in Ryok's first death of the game, and that'll mean he doesn't get to keep that CS lead growing. It'll just remain the same. Fishbro in trouble.
Oh, gets the stun onto it. Follow up with the dredge line as you've got the melee stun. That is going to be a full combo coming out from Mojo to secure the takedown onto Fishbro for the side of Butler. And now you're going to have a little bit of presence up top, but again, this is an easy pickup again, taking every victory that you can from Butler and pushing it against Georgetown.
Yeah, super important. It's funny that in both of the Akali games that we got to see today, or at least in mid lane Akali, then it was the enemy champion, whatever the matchup was, the Pantheon, or this time it's the Lucian, just wailing on the enemy. But then the Akali brings help, and as soon as you bring help, you're in big trouble because she'll just clean you up as you get low from the others. And that's what they've been doing here, Butler. They found 3 kills now for Levi, and that's huge on a champion that really needs that extra gold and, of course, levels to be able to put out the damage, execute some members. That's what you need out of an assassin.
And again, it's that emphasis on the support role that they play, roaming up from the bottom, giving a lot of space. The Xayah took the advantage, and it all started with that early pickup in the bush with the Nautilus, getting the stun onto the Sivir. It opened it up for freedom. You can move back. You really just had to work against only PIV in the bot lane, and there was no managing to be, turned about against Carthago. And now they can rotate back down. They're going to take this turret. They've got the opportunity now to roam into this middle position, and they're feeling really comfortable in this bot lane.
Yeah, and that first turret gold all donated directly to Carthago. They put a lot of effort with multiple members to make that happen in the long play, and they end up donating that gold to Carthago, who is now even in CS as well, as they're going to try and fight over this next Drake.
Voltage way out of position. Coling comes through. He won't be able to cross over through the center because he'll be taking the brunt of the damage in the back, as you do have the Grand Entrance managing to knock up Carthago. You've got the Cataclysm trying to lock down Ryok, but it actually keeps that fellow player of Carthago in the center of it to go down. They're not going to be able to escape. Georgetown actually coming out on top for this engagement once again near another objective.
Yeah, something's been going terribly wrong for Butler, where they seem to be the first to show up to the objectives, at least with a few members, and then the entirety of Georgetown collapses on them and steal away each objective they're going for. This is the last replay, a little bit of a mishap there, but you can see Riddance wants to go for these every time. He's making the call for himself. He's so fed. Let's watch what happens here.
There we go.
You can see Butler's the first to show up, but it's a 3v5. Not enough members. They're quick to start these objectives and try and set up vision, but they don't respect the fact that there's not enough of them there to defend it. And so here comes the horde, right? You can see it's all of Georgetown collapsing in, and they end up winning these fights handily. Now that's a 2,000 gold lead for Georgetown. We talked about how they were able to take a game off of St. John's in previous weeks. Well, it looks to me like they're in a position to continue pressuring Butler here in game 1.
And as we did have during the replay, there was a pickup, though. Levi managed to get rid of Georgie in that top position, rotating towards where that red position was. And that's honestly what Butler has been doing well, is when they find independent picks or being able to isolate individuals, they play it so well. But when it comes to this team fight, understanding the map awareness with how to play these choke points in narrow corridors through the jungle, they've really been elevating that Butler is not able to respond to.
And I think a key point of that struggle, these choke points are great for Butler's squad as they've drafted for themselves, but only if the Vladimir's there. You see, Cataclysm is actually collecting quite a few members into it, and if Butler is going to be able to continue to trap multiple people in that, you just need the damage to follow that up. Levi's there. He's got a lot to clean up any stragglers who are either not trapped within or are able to escape that Cataclysm, but we need the Vladimir there if we're going to see that wombo combo come through. But honestly, Georgetown is just doing a great job recognizing that if the Vladimir's not there, if Voltate is early to that fight and commits too quickly, then you use your numbers advantage to win those fights.
Now needs to be a little bit careful. Riddance is going to look to back off, doesn't want to try and engage this half health already, though. Has to be cautious for this because, I mean, honestly, Kaizek is still playing very, very well despite being a little bit down, at least when we compare it to like other aspects of the lane, because they're about even with Georgie, who's originally forcing that top lane so they can back to try and get some itemization. And now with it being the 20-minute marker, you can see that Georgetown is looking to try and at least play a little bit more towards this top side to see if they can go for the Baron.
Carthago's in trouble.
Ooh, looking to actually find that quick and then gets the stun too for Grand Entrance. Voltate does have to flag and drag away, but there's no way that you've got Carthago escaping, and that's a numbers advantage, and they have freedom to rotate up to that objective.
Yeah, again, it's a 3v4. Georgetown always has more members there, and it's because of their wave management on the side lanes. Is a numbers advantage here and not in their favor.
Nope. Okay, Riddance, again, this is kind of a little bit similar to Ryuk, a little bit in that bush play, where it's, I think, a little bit too aggressive. They need to not lose their advantage that they have. Again, it's only a small advantage right now in the grand scale of things. They've been playing very well. Now they're starting to take the follow-through onto Kaizek. Culling going to come through, but they're going to lose out on the range. That's going to be just a fallback here, an attempt to try and get, again, some consistent vision and take whatever they can on their way out.
Crucially, though, they put fear into Kaizek. They take his flash away, which is a key spell for him to use in any team fight situation. And in that kind of 1v3 moment right there, you can see it's not just timid play from Kaizek. There's worry in his eyes trying to commit against multiple members. And this is great, just psychological play from Georgetown. If they can continue to make Butler hesitant to bring Kaizek to fights or make Kaizek hesitant to join on his own right, then they're going to continue to find success with the numbers advantage. It's always their side lane pressure. You can see the Sivir shoving this in. That means Vladimir has to answer that wave, and he'll be slightly late to this dragon that's spawning in a minute. How can you answer Georgetown's tempo when they haven't let off the gas for 22 minutes now?
50 seconds, continuing to try and throttle. They just want to go to 0 to 60 for the rest of this game. And honestly, it's been working out very much for them. And proactivity is something we touched on as well. And they've been very, very proactive in this game. Now, as you're going to see Levi looking to potentially get the jump onto Georgie. Half health already, does evade the grasp and will be able to get out scot-free. But again, you're just looking to try and get as much pick damage as you can going into this next objective.
Yeah, good poke damage and able to sneak out the side so they don't even know which direction Levi left from the right, from the get-go there. And that's good poke damage, of course, on to Georgie, who's healed some of it back up, but this time it's Georgetown first to the objective. I wonder if they're going to leash it for Butler, as Butler now has 5. There was enough time for Vladimir to join.
Black and Drag going into the back, looks for the Cataclysm, lands onto 2. Both Flash is committed, so they are going to evade. Volte taking a bull from front of the culling, as Reedon's now super low in the back, does go down, repositioned by Levi. Numbers advantage still in favor of Butler, and they will get the cleanup. What a great play. Quad players still alive here for Butler, and I guess it's just really who starts the fight. Sure as heck can't finish it.
Oh, it's gotta be the Vladimir difference, putting in the extra damage. Watch this replay. You can see Volte's not sure if he takes the all 5-man there. He's traps the back line, and you can see he gets followed up with the Hemoplague, and watch as it bursts. There, down to 400 health only remaining for the backline. There's the 280 carries are deleted by Levi. He can't do that in previous fights because they're still too healthy at that point in every team fight prior. But because they brought the Vladimir this time, because they stalled enough, bought enough time for the Vladimir to show up at the beginning of the fight, it's all good things there for Butler. It's unfortunate for Georgetown that they're not able to make certain that the Vladimir can't show up. With his teleport now available, it'll be even that much harder for the next fight.
Now the gold shift happens of 2K advantage for Butler. Going to try and clear the jungle. Again, with the mid towers down, you do have the opportunity for Georgetown to rotate up and try and clear out some of the vision around this Baron, because that is the next objective of focus for the time being, with 4 minutes before the next dragon. Looking to quickly clean up that scuttle as well. Get some nice vision here over the wall from Volte to acknowledge how many are there as the scuttle goes down, but you can just see multiple individuals trying to push towards the top position. Levi does have the teleport, so they can continue to maintain this bottom position and harass to keep Georgie there as well. But Georgie still has the TP themselves, so they can look to get back into any engagements that might be on top side.
Truly, yeah. And we'll see if they try and go for some more of those cheeky paths from Riddance. We haven't seen him showing up anywhere but the team fights in some of these rotations, which is okay. You know, doesn't need to be making plays, honestly. Just needs to help secure that vision. It's a nice buff handoff to Riak. I want to take a moment to talk about magic resistances. So you see the Null Magic Mantle is purchased there by Riddance. I think it's super important for multiple members on Georgetown to be picking up those kinds of resists right now, as I want to call it 80+% of the damage in these fights is coming out of Kaizek and then Levi, and that's all going to be magic damage. Carthago's not behind by any means, but the nature of the build he went for means he has to be putting out many auto attacks, and his only target really for that is either going to be PIV for just a split second as he gets in there, but likely going to be charmed up or ulting to avoid that. And it's just going to be the Hecarim, right? Who's got a lot of that health to chew through, and it's not important to the Hecarim to avoid taking physical damage. At this point, it's all that magic damage, especially for the backline, that's getting deleted by Vladimir and Akali. And I think if they can get some of that, they may have a chance to survive. Look at this. Fishbra forced to just back away. A little over aggression there from Kaizek as he committed his flash and Hemoplague to it. Yeah, but the worrisome point for Georgetown is, even if they do get magic resist beginning to stack up with you can see the Mercury Treads, and of course there's that Spectre's Cowl too for Riddance. There's already completed Void Staffs.
Yeah,
on the
I was
side
just
of
about
Butler.
to say that. They've got it for both Levi and Kaizek have these Void Staffs, which are going to be able to completely nullify that magic resist to a degree. And, you know, as you just see this slow, methodical play, really just trying to farm up everywhere they can. They know that this is going to go into the extended late game because of how intense these fights are. And Butler knowing that they can take a team fight as long as they play it patiently. That's honestly going to be the name of the game. Patience is a virtue here.
Yeah, the draft kind of rearing its ugly head here for Georgetown. They took that late pick Lucian because they wanted to punish the Akali. And, you know, in all fairness, Fishbro almost solo killed, was able to force Levi to recall it multiple times. But now as we approach this late game, the Lucian's not going to do nearly as much as the Akali does. And they have to rely almost solely on Georgie for magic damage, where he's also just trying to to separate the fight. He's really, as the Mordekaiser, he wants to go for the 1v1s. He can't actually deal out a million magic damage to the entirety of this Butler squad. And so you can see things like that Frozen Heart are giga value for Voltade. He's not only going to trap you close in that Cataclysm, but he's going to reduce your ability to put out any sort of damage in these team fights. These next ones should be a wipe. You can see Vladimir's here for the beginning of this one as well. Georgie's Flash of the Wall is not too much of a big deal, as he can come back over with that Blast Plant, but unless they're able to mitigate the damage or separate this fight and keep Kaizek at bay, I don't think there's a way back in it here for Georgetown as they funnel into this choke point.
Oh, there comes the grapple onto the front side. Onslaught of Shadows is going to be delayed as it finally comes through in the back, attempting to try and give some space. You've got Mojo trying to flee. They've got the low health. The re-engagement up front. Voltade goes in. Triple flag and drag. Stun in the backside. And there's a grand entrance attempting to try and slow the momentum, but that's still Butler taking quick advantage of it. The Zonias comes through by Levi to sustain and will be able to escape, drawing back to the Dragon, and this will be the third on the board for Butler.
Yeah, the wider the breadth of the fight, the better for Georgetown, but still, when you commit through that choke point, you're going to struggle even if you try and string it out through your jungle. They're able to get punished away, and that's going to be, as you mentioned, the third out of 4 necessary for that soul going the way of Butler. That means in just under 5 minutes time, there's going to be a Mountain Soul on the table for Butler, and that means very difficult decision making from Georgetown. They do better in these skirmishes in the side. This may be an opportunity actually to split the map and say, if you're too slow to commit, if Butler is too slow to commit to either the Baron or the Soul, Riddance can show up quickly between the two of them. That's also true for Teleport being up for Georgie. Yeah, he's not very strong, but if you find that flank, you can separate Kaizek. I think the play might actually be buying a stopwatch or something for Georgie and just ulting Kaizek out of the fight, or Levi out of the fight, and just holding them for a moment to buy time for Georgetown. But look at this, they started the Baron basically in vision. You saw the pings come through.
Yeah, there's no way that they can test it. Hecarim's in bot side. They had vision of it near blue buff, so they know that he can't get there fast enough, and because they acknowledge the jungler in the lower section, it's an easy win for them, and they're doing so much damage, so they can quickly burn this.
And they do. And that's going to balloon their gold lead to about 3,000 now, which is, not a ton for 30 minutes in the game, but enough. And remember the additional combat stats of Baron itself.
Big aggression. Quickening comes out, looking for the grand entrance. I don't really know about this fight. Again, they do see that there's 2 on the top and bottom side, but you're still going to have Carthago get the advantage, and now that the whole team is here, Cataclysm comes through in the back, blowing off the other side. Georgetown obliterated on this match, and now going to try and recover. That's going to be a Baron bump with a solid 5 pushing mid.
Yeah, in these last couple of fights, Butler's just been trading 1 for 5, getting to ace for themselves. And now with Baron buff to boot, they'll be able to crack open the base. I don't know if 30 seconds is enough time for them to actually take a Nexus, but they may actually look for it as there's another wave coming behind them. Aggressive positioning theory. It looks to me like they may be considering it. Mojo Romo could also tank up a couple of hits. They're going to bring this tower to its knees. Yeah, they still got 15 seconds. It might be close, though.
I mean, PIV's not really going to have too much to delay it with. I mean, you could look for the grand entrance, going in with a flash to try and see if you can get the back line, but they just need to hyper-focus the base. They could just end it now, but now the numbers are going to come back in favor of Georgetown. They've got the Onslaught of Shadows. They get the fear. They're going to finish it, though. It's not going to matter. And you've got Butler in the end of this with a beautiful advantage. Even though there was the quickening to lead with Georgetown attempting to take the value, knowing that there is 1 top side, 1 bottom side, you're going to then see them reconvene. Carthago comes out big with the early pick, and the equalizer is when all 5 get to that mid lane for the TPs.
Yeah, that ultimate from Carthago was necessary to not get picked out of place since there was that commit. It was like a 3v3 situation. And the crazy thing to me is Butler there, yes, they have the Baron buff, but in terms of gold lead, they hadn't spent what they earned from Baron. It's just the additional combat stats. And so even though it says 2,000 gold lead on the board, you got to think it's more close to 1,000 with the difference of Baron gold not being spent. And so think about it. Butler ended the game with 1,000 gold lead. That's just wild to me. 3,000 if we're saying they earned the gold and the Baron buff value of the stats, but it's not like they wiped them immediately at the Baron. They got the sneaky Baron, then a fight, and then ended the game off of that. That's what you want to see from these top teams, is you give them an inch, they take the mile. They take the actual nexus off of that game-winning push. So that's game one of this best of three. Gotta say, I loved what I saw from Georgetown in the game one, though. It actually felt like they were going to take the game until they lost that weird sneaky Baron.
Outside of the couple very minor nuanceical plays, and again, I see where they were going with this middle position where they could try and exploit them with the amount of mobility that you had from the Rakan, but with their proper evasion, responsiveness to this read, and just honestly turning it around was stellar. Like, really, for both these teams. I'm actually excited to see what this next game is going to hold for us because of how it's going to evolve from this first game, because it was tooth and nail, I think, for both of us and for those viewing at home, how close it actually was. But we'll be seeing that match here in just a moment, so don't go anywhere as we'll be getting game 2 underway on the other side of this break. Hello and welcome back, friends, as we continue on the battle, the duel, and the I was going to say gladiatic, but it's gladiator. I'm just going to leave that alone. We're just going to allow that to just move on. But I know, it's okay. Two gladiators going head-to-head here, Butler and Georgetown. Georgetown really stepping it up, Superman, and to quite a surprise. But you made a comment before going into this, on our break, where once they brought the Vladimir from Butler, it started to just be this downhill spiral for Georgetown in these engagements.
Georgetown just absolutely cracked out of their minds. They're just so clean in that early game. They took everything from Butler and said, if you won't bring your Vladimir to the fights, you will lose, and we will make you lose at every step of the way. They took the dragons they took both heralds on the map.
Yeah.
Georgetown was just honestly playing out of their minds early game, and they called Butler's bluff. Finally, Butler wised up, and they brought that Vladimir to the fights. They bring their new top laner in, and boy, did he show up huge. Those Hemo Plagues broke the fight open, got the backline unhealthy enough, down low enough on their HP bars that then Levi could clean up. Anything that he couldn't kill, Levi was able to clean up, and that made the difference, right? And also, shout out to Carthago, just buying time, dodging out everything with those Xayah ults to try and buy that time in those later team fights, and it worked out super well when Butler finally committed members to those fights. Honestly, that was the make or break point.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that fight-winning play was so significant, and it's a combination of great play and I think a little bit of a misplay because you had the Sivir ultimate committed into that, and you saw PIV go in aggressively. The ultimate came through from the Xayah, but even with the ultimate being committed into that to dodge it, there really wasn't enough support from the rest of Georgetown that even, let's say, if they didn't have the ultimate to evade it, I'm not sure they would have been able to really take that fight anyways because they locked down PIV the second he was out of the grand entrance, and they lost that entirely. Nobody was close to get any follow-up, even if it landed successfully.
Yeah, they didn't really have eyes on the Vladimir, who got that great flank after they committed all of those resources. And I agree, even if Xayah didn't have ultimate in that fight, it's iffy at best, right? To try and actually clean up the kill from that far away. You got all that move speed, but you actually have to use it with more than just the support. So a little bit of a ambitious play, we'll call it, from Georgetown at the end. But sometimes you got to throw that Hail Mary, right? You know you just lost the Baron. You know you're in trouble. Sometimes you just got to throw that out there. And still, props to Georgetown playing super clean for the first 25 minutes of the game. And it really was just Butler breaking the door down somehow, sneaking that Baron away, and then closing it out. So both these teams obviously showing up huge today.
And I can tell you that Butler's not going to take this next match lightly. They are very much going to come into this knowing that it was not an easy win. They did have a very convincing fight, but as you mentioned, 25 minutes of successful play from Georgetown, instantly being able to respond and put Butler into a very challenging position, multiple occasions, stripping away objectives, neutral objectives like the Rift Herald, like the Dragon, and almost to the point of Baron as they had to play a little bit more defensively. That was probably one of the few that did go in favor of Butler cleanly because they were a lot more aware of the map placement, especially with the Hecarim play from Georgetown in that bottom half where they were towards blue with the additional vision. But as we do take a look here, we are going to head into the picks and bans. As you saw it for a hot second, we were going to be debated. Yes, absolutely. They're just toying with us now at this point, friends, to see if we can start to get it. But again, wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see the Vladimir be removed or that either stripped away, because I feel like that was such a significant value.
Yeah, what happens if you take away the Vladimir and you still give the Hecarim over, right? Then Georgetown still has the tools necessary on that red side, which they opted into again to find all that early pressure. You have that extra mobility and clearly willing to commit as a squad to fight over objectives. That's super important for a team like Georgetown to take games off of Butler. And I think there's absolutely a world wherein Butler is just left in that chokehold, absolutely decimated in the early game. And where do you find the way back in? I think if you don't have a champion like Vladimir, you just hit the nail on the head, Rich. If you take away the Vladimir, what do? They can't just rely on that crutch of scaling to late and our team fight will win because we have AoE one-shot capability.
And as we take a look at the picks and bans for reals this time, we're not going to juke you, as we do have the Anivia, Victor, so very heavily mid-focus, Silas as well. Nami going to be thrown into the mix again, has very, very successful play in the bottom position as we've seen. And again, also you're going to have now the Leona, so both of those being very, very consistent in bans from the previous game. And Butler's actually going to be able to grab the Hecarim here over Georgetown and take away that heavy mobility, but Georgetown's still going to look to stick with this Rakan play to have it, because even though that last fight didn't go favoritism, and they're going to have the Lovers duo, mind you, that it's going to be something of power for Georgetown to play against Butler.
Yeah, they clearly felt like Zaya was a high
Woohoo!
enough priority pick that they forego banning the Hecarim. Um, yeah, all that mid lane focus from the draft is crazy, and these picks are just coming through wilding right here. I
Mhm.
love the lovers do in the bottom lane. I have mixed feelings about Rakan alone, but with the Zaya paired up, you actually have that mobility. I think to come from Fog of War, using that grand entrance from very far away onto the Zaya. And Zaya has that safety that we saw showcased beautifully by Carthago last game, and now it'll be the hands of Riak. And I think he'll be a lot more comfortable on Zaya than he was on Sivir last game. I'll be curious to see though. Will he go for the pen build that we didn't see come through last game? It was the crit build from Carthago that I don't know. Chat had mixed feelings about it. I'm not sure how I thought about it too. It seemed to work out just fine for him putting out the deeps onto the enemy Hecarim, but yeah, it's kind of rough.
I mean, and we also just kind of taken a deviation away from that. And I'm looking at this top lane. You've got the Camille,
Mm.
which has a lot of really great engagement potential with the passive, but going into the Renekton, from my knowledge, I feel like this is more of a Renekton favor engagement between the two, but with how we've seen very little in Renekton, and I think if I remember correctly, an adjustment partially to his kit has made it be not as strong, especially with how the slice and dice, from my knowledge, has adjusted slightly. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go between the two as we do see the last couple of picks coming in.
Oh no, they've been entirely countered on the bottom side of the map now. The
Yeah.
Ziggs Vex is not one you'd see often. Ziggs is just an AD carry, quote unquote, a carry on the bottom side of the map is relatively common, but the Vex often swap to mid lane, and there's just now all that extra safety for the carry of the backline. You can see Xin Zhao, Renekton, and Rakan, they all want to dive deep in these team fights, and now with Vex picked up as that final pick, there's just no way on to them. You've got the heal in your, the fear in your back pocket in case you get close, and there's just so much damage to dash through that you'll be forced to stack up some magic resist. And if you do, what happens if Keswick finds you? It'll just one shot you with true damage and physical damage. It's very scary draft here on the side of Butler. The one thing that Georgetown has going for them is they have a lot more playmaking potential.
Yeah.
On the side of Butler, they need to have Voltade and Mortoromo making these plays. There's no way that things turn out well unless you're giga ahead for Levi to be the one to start with his ultimate or something like this. On the side of Georgetown, though, any one of these champions can start a fight. You can start with a shockwave. You can start with Zaya just baiting you into a fight by walking up to you with her ultimate in her back pocket. And of course, Rakan from Fog of War, Xin Zhao, doing what he does. His entire kit revolves around starting these fights and challenging you to a duel. I think Georgetown has the tools precisely playing into their hand that they played in game one, which was the early game rotations with multiple members saying, you fight on our terms, on our turf. Georgetown should be able to set the tempo in the early game once again.
And I really do like it's. I feel that this resonates more with the way that Georgetown has been evolving into their play style, like you saying, like the playmaking opportunity. Shockwave being one that I'm really. It's going to be critical to get a decent Shockwave. I mean, you've got three technically, three hard engagers. Whether you get a slice and dice in, you've got the dash coming in from Zin, or you're going to have the Rakan. If you place that orb on top of any of those three and you lock down a critical grouping of members from Butler, it can very easily turn the tides onto that fight. And just curious to see, because again, if you get that shockwave into a couple of feathers, you've got some really great synergy between the two. Or if you've got the shockwave into a grand entrance or potentially the quickening, there's so much that you can do synergy wise with how they interact with one another that you can get some significantly lengthy crowd control onto Butler. And they have to be so cognizant of their positioning going into this.
And they have the opportunity to get that far ahead, I think. It takes quite a while for a Ziggs to come online. If he starts Tier or Doran's Ring, it's going to take a while to stack up his first Mythic and get to that point where he actually puts out significant poke damage. And how do you play as Butler before you have those items? You just can't. The Hecarim can try for something, but until Ziggs, he has to use a lot of his abilities to wave clear, right? And if he runs out of mana or he's used some key spells before a gank, it's really hard to set things up on the bottom side of the map, especially onto champions like Zion or Khan, who are known for taking those duels because of that lovers duo. It's going to be rough. And then I look at the other lanes and I think to myself, does Hecarim have a chance to go for mid lane? For E6, it's kind of tough for the Vex to follow up, right? You have to be in that close range, and if you are, you're probably losing out on the shield difference from Orianna. Top lane may be where it's at if Butler's going to try and answer that early game that Georgetown has shown in this series already that they have the edge in. It might have to be Kaizek and Voltage playing around trying to dive Georgie and tracking Riddance to make sure he doesn't counter gank that as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that heavily, as I think that they're going to put a lot of emphasis to Georgie, because that was something where there was a little bit of lack, even though it was against a Vladimir who was playing very, very well. Don't get me wrong. They were about even keel across the way, but, you know, if you can get the advantage onto this Renekton and having to play on the back foot and acknowledge that, you know, Riddance is, you know, potentially on the bot side of the map or looking to gank elsewhere, I would agree with you entirely that that should be where the focus is, that Butler should really put emphasis to that top lane to try and get the Camille in a position to where they can snowball into the advantage. Also, like you talked about earlier when it came to the magic damage, that's valuable to try and see if you could force out that magic resistance to then give the opportunity for the Camille to really start laying in that damage, and true damage is going to be super things for Butler as we're entering now into Summoner's Rift for Game 2. Georgetown has put up quite a valiant effort against Butler, but Butler wants to make this a 2-0 to continue putting themselves into a proper seeding position as they near the opportunity of playoffs.
Yeah, and Butler once again looking for that 5-stack on the topside river. This time they have the Nautilus to look for something. Georgie in a very aggressive position in the bush might be in trouble.
There is some early intel. Georgie, though, going to get slowed and has to force the slice and dice to get out. Riddance also still close, but nobody's going to be picked up here. But you can definitely see that Butler is here to throw the aggression and just put Georgetown into their place.
It's Georgie.
Okay.
Not going to be cheeky because he doesn't.
Nope.
He doesn't know if everybody is actually left through that exit in the river. But that's a weird start for both top laners. Both of them starting with their mobility spells, not going to be able to sustain as easily. And that will mean Georgie might have that edge, since normally you wouldn't want that hook shot so early in the lane for Kaizek. They don't actually get rewarded with a first blood.
And as they both start bot side, there will be a reconvening moment in the top position. Here's again that couple of early exchanges, though, with the passive, managing to get that protective armor. Every time that exchange comes through, you're going to have Kaizek having a little bit of an advantage over Georgie. So that's one small, minor benefit, even though they did take that mobility and utility in their kit first. So they have some still exchanging potential.
Yeah, it could get a little interesting at level 2 there in the top side. You can see the Rage is stacked up for Georgie, and he seems to be in a controlling area for this lane, but Kaizek has shown that he can land those stuns against the wall, and I think that's an important part of the trading pattern against Georgie. No ignite threat, though, actually, Rich.
Yeah, that's true.
It's weird to see the flash taken by Camille. It's pretty normal for the Renekton, but the flash instead of ignite from Camille is a little curious to me.
Maybe wants to play a little more safe. Again, doesn't want to, you know, go too hard in the paint because of how close this match was previously. Could feel a little more comfort over confidence. There's still a lot of, again, mobility up towards. Again, it's really just that patient play to see how these junglers are going to engage this top lane, because it's just going to be a crashing wave worth of anticipation.
Yeah, both junglers playing towards the top side. So that's a bad trade for Georgie. He actually might be in trouble here if they're going to call Voltoid up to look for a dive, stacking that wave up. You see, Kaizek's not hard shoving it back in. He actually wants to bring this. This would be a perfect opportunity for an early dive from Voltage. He has Ghost up. No, he doesn't have access to his Predator just yet, but with this huge wave and Georgie already down to half, there might have been a window of opportunity, but you can see Riddance has the same plan. He's going to come up here to help out Georgie. It's a 2v1.
And you can see that they're going to be near that Scuttle Crab. Does have a little bit of advanced vision. Riddance is going to be seen, though, and needs to be careful. You're going to have the movement speed coming out from Voltage. You had to force the flash. Riddance getting pretty heavily picked up here, and first blood goes in favor of Kaizek. What a great pickup and huge early advantage for this top laner.
Yeah, the newest member of the Butler lineup showing up huge once again here in game 2, picking up that solo kill. Even without Voltade's help, he's able to get a kill in a 1v2 situation. Riddance goes down, and it's got to feel bad for him trying to apply pressure up there when Georgie was already struggling with the hook under turret.
Oh, and you're going to have the reposition. A turret shot actually goes onto Ryok. They're going to look for the flash and the stun, but the heal comes out, attempting to evade. What a lockdown with the recall on the feathers, and now you're going to actually have PIV look to swap it back. The focus is there. Carthago needs the takedown, and this is where Ryok overstays their welcome. Cat memes for days.
Wow, what a turnaround there for Georgetown. In a brief moment, it looked like Majoroma might have lost his life, but finding the key spells there is Carthago as he flashed to follow up that aggression. They get the kill on Ryok, and they're happily farming there. Look, Riddance is on the wing just in case they get a little too greedy onto PIV. Low mana as well for Carthago. He just has to be smart about farming up this wave.
I mean, you can see there's a little bit of a bait. PIV's trying to get it out of it. Riddance says, all right, I can't stay any longer. I can't lose elsewhere. As there's a lot of presence, though, in mid. Levi still has yet to really go back at this point. Actually was able to, correction, as they bought in addition to the corruption pot. So, I mean,
that's huge for Carthago. Able to get that lost chapter this early means he won't have to use a teleport any other time during laning phase. He teleports back right now with that lost chapter, and he can literally sit in lane for as long as he wants because he'll get all of that regen back for himself.
Voltate now going to reposition, looking to get the knockup into the wall, has to force the flash. It's going to be followed up by Levi, and actually escapes, drops the ward to the back there. As you're going to now have a slice and dice to evade up top, as Kha'Zix does have the advantage once again. Georgie has to pop these pots to try and even sustain in this lane.
Yeah, that's the shield difference once again from Fishbro. Nice flash to get out of harm's way, but they just don't have the damage yet. You could see Levi wasn't able to buy any key items. Oh no.
The collapse going to come through. 4 versus 3. You've got Voltate diving onto Riddance in the back, who's trying to go over the wall. Is he going to be able to? All the while in the top lane, you're going to see another. This is just Butler completely dominating now and goes in for the dive. Levi comes in for the execution with the assistance of Carthago. Now the follow-up onto Fishbro. The blast cone doesn't do it. More cat emotes in this game. And now you've got a 6-0 score on the board with just shy of 3K gold lead.
Oh man, look, this time it's Georgetown that brings the few members to the fight first. They start up the dragon, take that additional poke, and as the solo kill happens topside, they're also able to turn this around. Levi with a beautiful ultimate to pick off even more. Yeah, Georgetown not learning from game 1 where they got every objective off of bringing multiple members. This time they were first the objective with too few.
I mean, now you're going to see Carthago in this bot lane just shred through this turret and really get these extra plates to snowball further. Didn't need to back because, as you mentioned, has the book to sustain, but can for sure because of the gold value that they've got. 300 bounty on their head, 3-0-1. I mean, Butler coming out entirely different in this second game. Oh no, you're going to have Voltate looking to try and get another one once again. Onslaught of Shadows gets the fear, knocks it into the pillar corner again. That's it. Gone. Go back to take a drink.
Yeah, no flash that time. Shield not enough to deal with the extra damage coming through from Levi this time. And that will be a good pickup on the enemy mid laner. You can see Kha'Zix still putting out the pain in this 1v1.
And Georgie just has had a rough moment since the beginning. All the way back with 5 versus 1 in the bush. And isn't able to really catch up here. But again, as we do take a look elsewhere, we're going to be looking at that bot lane. Already has 2 plates down. They're in a prime position. They've got now the ultimate online here for both DPS, well, ADC and AKA Ziggs in the bottom lane. As they're just waiting for Mojo to come online. I mean, once that depth charge is up, I feel like they're just going to go hard in the paint.
They could go for it. You can see Ryok has ultimate available. They need to land a little bit more poke. There's the Guardian gone. Might give them a little bit of a green light. But honestly, they don't have to do much. Carthago is so far ahead. CS is even, but you can see Ryok was forced to just go Cole and try and catch up to the money that has been collected by Carthago, who's got 3 kills in his pocket. He's got all that extra ability haste. He's now stacking up a tier. Should be smooth sailing for Carthago to play his way through the rest of this game.
And there's some request for assistance in the top portion after Riddance manages to clear this red buff, which is going to be extremely helpful. They don't really have... Oh, they do have vision in the tri-bush, so it's going to have to take the long way around if it's Riddance without being seen. And at this point, not really going to be able to do too much. There's going to be emphasis, though, on this Rift Herald because it is available, and you can see 4 are postured towards this top lane.
Yeah, PIV's on its way, but Mojiromo's the first support to show up and try and secure vision. As they're putting all this pain onto Georgie, he can't participate.
Now you're going to see Riddance, though, coming in, trying to give some assistance. But again, Georgie really doesn't have the health, I think, to take this favorably. Does get the stun and decent heal. But now rotating up PIV in the wings, looking to see if they can find a grand entrance. But there is clear vision, knowing that they are there. Actually, they did drop the pink ward, so they don't manage to get full vision of this as Fishbro rotates up. So now they're very cognizant of it. Voltate is going to start to get that mobility towards the Orianna. Changes trajectory, and they're going to look to try and just get this Rift Herald in exchange, as Ryok needs to be extremely careful against Carthago.
He does. Oh, down to 100 HP.
Has to force the ultimate. That's evading. Knowing that the ultimate in return is going to come out, forces the flash, dodges, keeps the distance, pops the heal, and gets that evasion from the bouncing bomb in the back. And that was a lot committed to try and survive there.
Yeah, I'm surprised Carthago felt like he needed to flash. He was still basically full HP when Ryok used the ultimate. Yeah, there's a lot of feathers you might get hit by, but nowhere near enough to kill you. Would have liked to see him hold that flash a little bit longer to secure the kill for himself, but a nice dodging from Ryok to make sure he didn't die to those last key spells. He's staying around a little greedily. No heal, no flash. Carthago might be in trouble.
Ooh, prevented the knockup from keeping space, but in this top lane, Lord Georgie, oh, lordy, you've got no one watching out for you at this point when it's a 3v1.
That's so sad, and it feels extra bad to lose your top lane turret to not Ziggs, because you know it's just a matter of time before Ziggs deletes that bottom lane turret as well. So this will be a lot of plate gold going over to Butler. And look, they're recalling to set up. They might be a little too late for this dragon, though, and great call by Georgetown. You see they already bring 3 members ready for it to spawn as it does. It'll be now at least an on the other side of the map. Well played by Georgetown.
Managing to get something out of that exchange of value, and a dragon is at least the best option that you can hope for right now with how well Butler is playing. They do have the chance now to get a little bit more defensive, starting to work towards it, as we do have the confirmation it is going to be the Infernal Soul as we move towards it. But honestly, with how well Butler's playing, seeing the Infernal Soul, we might not even get that far.
True. It might not last long enough for us to see a soul come through this game. So much damage too, especially if these Infernals are stacked for the side of Butler. All that extra poke from Vex and Ziggs. It's so much to deal with when magic resist is obviously going to be very expensive. All these members still trying to complete their mythic items to just get on the board.
And you can see 2 fully completed here, soon to be possibly 3 here for Butler. Is you mentioned just attempting to scratch and claw their way to try and get their first completed itemization. Nice opportunity to shove into the wave to try and at least get a plate before it does go, but that is a great follow by Levi. Gonna look for the pickup and flashes out, but there is 3 more to follow up for some shutdown gold.
Yeah. All things considered, that was decent for Georgetown. Ryok gonna probably die without his ultimate there at the tail end. Oh! He lives. Yeah, but in that mid lane play, that was pretty good for Georgetown. I mean, they get the plate first from Fishbro, and yeah, it's a little greedy to stay so deep. But Levi goes in, and at least he had friendship in the wings to be able to pick that up, as now PIV's in trouble, has to flash to get out of dodge. Voltage shorts his ult a little bit, not able to find that kill, but Georgetown in the last few minutes have actually been playing really, really well. They not only stole away that Drake, trading it for that top lane turret that they were already going to lose, but getting that extra kill in mid lane turned around with the assist pool added, plus the plate means they actually came out way ahead, all gold considered, as there's a teleport coming through as well.
Had the flash, wanted to get the takedown, but you found yourself in hot water. PIV is here to assist, and also, well, Kyok and PIV, you're gonna find yourself having to flee. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. As Ryok now attempts to try and keep some distance, but that's
That's a walking bird against a centaur, and I'm pretty sure the centaur is going to be faster no matter what. As you do get the double kill, looking to fall back, going to take blue, rotate down to get some vision, and they're going to press towards this mid lane.
Yeah, if there's a crying cat emote for something, it's actually going to be for what PIV just had experienced. It's that support life. You're just trying to save your team's lives and create a little bit of space, and then you realize it's doomed, and you give your own life over as, and not able to save his own life in that moment. Now it's a 7,000 goal lead. Man, it's just a different story than what we saw in game 1. As they got those first few fights going super in their favor. Butler has just ballooned their gold lead over and over and over again over the last 10 minutes or so, and it's rough for Georgetown to find an angle back in this.
Oh no, gonna go over the wall. PIV has to try and escape again, but one more close encounter from Kaizek is gonna be the end, but there is a nice recovery here with the rotation. And meanwhile, in the top lane, you finally get the opportunity to shut down Levi, who is playing very overzealous on that aggressive lane. And now the focus here in the middle position does try to get Fish Bro knocked up in the back into an ultimate, but that's not going to be nearly enough damage to take him down. Trying to get some space to maybe dwindle the health value of this turret, but it's still going to stand strong.
Yeah, I mean, not enough damage to kill Fish Bro, but enough to send him back to base, which means now a Ziggs gets to touch this turret a couple of times with his passive, and that's a lot of damage from this champion. I also worry for the side of Georgetown. What do they do about Kaizek's split push? He's 5-0 now on Camille. He'll one-shot basically anybody that comes to stop him. It can't be Georgie. He's been murdered time and again against the top jungle duo. And Riddance has to be around every objective as the jungler. There's not really somebody that can answer this. Fishbro has teleport, but he hasn't been able to complete a mythic so far this game. It's just so hard if you're Georgetown at this moment to decide how to allocate your resources across these lanes. As the next dragon is about to spawn, may be able to look for a team fight. You can see Vex isn't there. Levi is so far, he's picking up the blue buff. This might be a window of opportunity for Georgetown.
It needs to happen now, though. Vex could potentially start to roam over, but as you mentioned, since they don't have the TP, they don't have the ability to get into this, so you're going to have Lord Georgie looking for the stun onto Kazik, needing to be very careful, does flash over or slice over the wall to evade, but now Vex is here. It's near, and they have a 5 versus 5 opportunity as the objective comes up in 10.
Oh no, and Georgie split himself to go get that wave. Now it's a 5v3.
Over the wall, manages to get the stun onto Ryuk in the back. Big Hex coming out with the onslaught of shadows. Riddance is trying to flee, knocking them away. And that's going to be a real challenge to survive. They could look to dive underneath it. You're actually going to have Kaizek coming in, looking to completely shut down both Georgie and their counterpart. Riddance eliminated by the bomb in the back. Overzealous play by the support. Mojo doesn't care. You've got numbers 4 versus 2. Georgie separated under the tower. Fishbro gonna get locked up near the wall. Might be able to take down Voltate. Has to force the flash. This is a rotation back to Dragon, and they should be able to pick this up.
Oh no. Yeah, with Georgetown shows up first. They got all 5 members there. They're in a 5v4. Can't find an angle to commit because they can't get any vision into the river. And then they finally disperse, stop the waves pushing to their turrets. And as soon as they do that, Butler pulls the trigger, picks off 2 quick members, and then the stragglers shortly thereafter. The Dragon is their prize, the second of the game for Butler. And I don't know, it might be a GG go next here for Georgetown, as it's even more uphill from here on out.
I mean, and you have to give some serious credit for the landscape understanding from Isaac, because again, oh no, and the flank's gonna come through. I'm gonna get back to my point in just a second. Is you're gonna get the engagement. You have that opportunity to evade with the ultimate. The quickening is gonna give some time for the potential escape. Happy Cat come out once again. No crying cat, but back to what I was saying is you have the understanding of the environment being changed because of the Fire Drake. I'm not going to get to my point. They're just going to keep fighting.
They are going to keep fighting. They have to defend their jungle, as the next objective on the map is that Herald, and there's just no way for Georgetown to find an angle back into it. They have to care about the side lanes. They have to clear their own jungle to at least make sure that they get that much gold. And it means that this next neutral will go the way of Butler, and I imagine they'll use the crack mid lane, open up more gank paths for this Hecarim, who's just on a roll. 404, enemy team just not found. They're AFK at this point. because what can you do against a team this fed? You got 10 kills in the top jungle duo here for Butler, and as they are able to roam around this map, teleport up for Kaizek, the horse is just so fast roaming around. There's just no breathing room for Georgetown to find any way to fight over these objectives.
And then now that I've got a hot second, so it was the hook shot coming in over that small portion, because again, when you do get the fire drake, it breaks the wall near the blue buff. So they were able to completely launch themselves over that small mountainous cavern into the middle of the back line, getting the early advantage, just dealing so much valuable damage onto the flank and completely leading that fight. As now you're going to see another rotation into the mid lane. Fish Bro, this happens time and time again. It's on A-B repeat, my friend. And this is just constantly being picked up by Voltade. You got to stop, pause, and rewind to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, we say deja vu, shame on you. That's the third time that play has worked on Fish Bro as they pick up Riddance as well. They're going deep.
Oh, Onslaught of Shadows gets a beautiful fear onto 3 with Carthago landing the bomb in the back. A dive from Levi, gets the double. Will look to pick up a triple kill and gets it with the exhaust. Now Shelly continues to dive forward. The inhibitor is in sight. With their health values lower, I don't think they'll be... Actually, they're rotating bottom. They might be able to keep pushing this to get a second inhibitor.
Yeah, one by one. The dominoes that are Georgetown fall in that mid lane. They lose their inhibitor as well. Shelly gets a charge with 200 health off the Nexus turret. Not that it really matters, but all the while, that was a 5v4, or 4v5, I should say. Kaizek able to split push the map, and now they're just mowing the lawn, cleaning up the clippings, as they're not only just going to take that base, crack that open, but they get the extra kills and turrets on the side lanes as well. It's 23-6, and it's now a disgusting gold margin separating these two teams. Not a single turret has fallen the way for Georgetown.
So I would say that Kaizek is on leg day right now, but since they're like blades, if you were to like squat and deadlift, would you go like deeper into the ground? So is that really a compliment? I don't know. But they're doing some work.
Yeah, just like the story of this game. It's if you let Kaizek do leg day on the machines at the gym, there's nothing left to be used by anybody else. There's no way back in it here from Georgetown with this Kaizek on Camille. It's too good, and now they're going to start up the Baron with Reckless Abandon. What do they have to lose here? Absolutely nothing. That feels so bad as a support player who just in half a second try to maybe check to see if the enemy is doing Baron. Yeah, they're doing it, and Kaizek almost one-shots you. Honestly, could have probably kept going, but didn't need to, as they're going to now immediately keep that pressure going. Kaizek teleports to the bottom lane after completing his Titanic Hydra. He almost has 3 completed items, as members of Georgetown are just 1 item completed.
Crashing the second, maybe? Yeah, I mean, goodness. 8-0-4 with 1,000 gold bounty. I mean, you feeling grand about this match as a Camille player in top. And again, like you mentioned, the newer individual to the squad showing their value and what they can bring to the story.
Beautiful play from Butler as they're splitting the map now. They're trying to do that 1-3-1. Had to recall there from Voltade as he wanted to complete an item as well, pick up a little bit extra control wards so they can have more mobility translate throughout this. But they go deep already.
Yep, instantly gonna pop Riddance and now Hyper Focus. You've got the damage coming out from Kaizek, but there is still Levi to pop the rest of the health bar if necessary. All 5 individuals shall be shut down. Triple kill in total. There's the quad. Ace comes through.
Wow.
And you will have the Nexus fall to rubble. What a beautiful second game coming out from Butler. It was quite a close one in game 1, but what a stellar change of pace in game 2.
Jeez, Rich, I mean, at the end there, your play-by-play is just going to turn into what? Just counting the number of people that die? 1, 2, 3.
I feel like the count.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the same
wavelength.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, what can you do as Georgetown? There's just no way back in it. You're getting hit over the head, and Camille one-shotting your jungler in half a second over the wall there as they break the base, take the Nexus. Beautiful play from Butler. They decided after that game 1 was a rough battle that they were not going to sacrifice the early game. They were not going to make the same mistake 2 games in a row of not bringing more members to these fights. In Georgetown, they weren't able to find their angle back in it. And so that'll be a 2-0 for Butler. Congratulations to them.
Absolutely. And I mean, even though there was some definite, you know, like unique selections coming out from St. John's, you should feel pretty good. The fact that you're just like, yeah, we weren't like St. John's. We didn't drop a game. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, it looks great for Butler coming into the postseason, right? They're one of these
Yeah.
top 3-4 teams that they're hot in playoff contention. They've already secured their spot, and they want to show that against teams that might not be making playoffs, that they can just close them out cleanly. And that means that when they do match up later on, we got still one more day of games through the coming weeks after the winter, the Thanksgiving break. Coming into playoffs, they want to be able to show that once they do match up against one of the first or second seed teams, that they will be able to take not games, but perhaps the series off of them.
Absolutely. And we'll be heading to a short break so we can get to pick the brain of one of the players that we will be interviewing from Butler as they, were able to recover from game 1, the close proximity of victory, to a very stellar one with their new player. So don't go anywhere, friends, as we'll be able to talk to them shortly after the short break that we're going to be putting on now. Welcome back, friends, as we are here to speak with Levi from Butler. They just took the 2-0 over Georgetown after a first game that was a little rocky. They still managed to claim the win close, but then the second game, they blew it out of the water. Levi, how are you feeling after that last game?
I feel really good, actually. That first game, yeah, it was close, but I was so fed on the Akali, and I was even with Lucian and Lane, and I knew I was just going to be able to straight hard carry that game. The second game, it was a hard stomp. We played really well around the first scuttles and got a kill on our top lane and Dragon, and it just snowballed out of control from there.
Really well played. Yeah, you talked about the mid lane, the Akali. You kind of got rolling after you got a little bit of help around there. Lucian shoving you in mid lane. I want to talk a little bit more about game 1 because it seemed a lot closer, obviously, than game 2. Seemed like you guys couldn't find an angle to win those fights around the objectives. You basically leashed the first Drake on over and then lost 2 Heralds. Talk to me about what happened and what broke down about that mid game that obviously got cleaned up for game 2.
Well, that first game, they have Lucian mid lane and Hecarim, so they have a really strong 2v2 mid jungle early, and we were trying to do these objectives when we had like bot advantages, but the jungle 2v2 was just way too strong, jungle mid 2v2, and it kind of made those fights a little hard. So, it was kind of like instead of just us getting the objective and then killing them in a fight, they would get the objective, but it'd be like a 2 for 2. Like I think in that first one, I died, but I got 2 kills. So just having that Lucian on their team made it hard. So we probably should have given up some objectives, but we felt our bot was strong enough. But at a certain point, our comp was kind of just way better than theirs, so we could just perma kill them. And like I said, I was so fed on Akali.
It did seem like as soon as you brought the Vladimir to the fights, he was able to get them low enough for you to get those impactful kills on Akali and just clean up house.
Yeah, his name's Isaac. He's new to our team. Played an insane Vladimir, insane Camille in that second game too.
Mhm.
Very good guy. Really helps out our team too. But he played that first game really well too.
Yeah, I mean, that was something we even just talked about before the break, and even during our broadcasts is, having that individual kind of, synergizing with you. I mean, we've already seen some stellar play, as you mentioned, on the Vladimir and the Camille. How overall has it been, kind of getting this, Isaac that you mentioned,
Mhm.
kind of involved in the team, and like how are they feeling, being added into this roster in addition to just how well they've been playing?
Well, we played our first scrims with him on Thursday night, and it was like he assimilated really well. The atmosphere was good. We were able to banter with him, have good
Mhm.
jokes, and he played the games really well. And he fits into the team. He's another high diamond player, really smart guy, about the game at least, and um, it just really helps our team in general to be able to play through topside if we need to, like in that last game instead of because a lot of the league's bot focused, but I think a lot of the
Yeah,
games could be won through top lane. So it's nice to have someone we can do that with.
absolutely. Well, and I mean, for what we've had so far, we've had the chance to see you. I mean, you should definitely feel pretty good because we were joking a little bit about how last week it was Georgetown and St. John's where St. John's lost a game. You guys didn't. So that's like a little consolation for you to say no, we didn't lose a match or anything like that to him today. So I mean, we're really looking forward to continue seeing you go into the direction that you are, looking to see where the seeding is going to be after this Thanksgiving holiday, before playoffs, what you're looking to continue showing for all of us, because you've been really, really performing at such a high level, and it's a thrill to watch and just be involved in.
Yeah, we're all really excited about it too. We feel like every week we've gotten better. Besides last week against Seton Hall, we had a few hiccups, but it was kind of perfect storm for them. And I think they're a sleeper. When they have Crop and Ivern, they could beat anybody. I think those two players are incredible. Flurber plays amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seton Hall is sleeper. I'd say watch out for them. They're sleeper. But I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play DePaul too at the end of Thanksgiving break, right before playoffs. And I think if we beat Villanova, we're locked in for playoffs, no matter what that game happens. But it should be fun.
Gotta set the stage. Gotta
Yep.
set the stage, my friends. So, well, we appreciate your time greatly. I know we've got one more game coming up just after this one, so we don't want to take too much of your time, but we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep on keeping on, and, congratulations on the win here, 2-0, and looking forward to, as we said, continue to see you through the season.
Hey, thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Take care, my friend.
You guys too.
And for all of those that are tuning in still, like I said, we've got one more game coming up, best of 3 in store, but it is not going to be myself and Superman. We will be handing it off here, so it will be not us giving you the rest of the tour for today, but you are still in good hands. And from us here at the broadcast, I think we've had a stellar time. It's a pleasure to be alongside you again, Superman. And I mean, really, it's super thrilling to always have a chance to cast some League of Legends with you and have some Sesame Street moments.
Of course, yeah. Pleasure's all mine, brother, and I'm looking forward to seeing Sir Aaron and Mac take over from here.
Absolutely. Take care, friends, and we'll look to hopefully see you the weekend after this Thanksgiving, as they'll take you the rest of the way.